Welcome back to the weekly recap. This is the week 8 edition, boys, and let's get right to it. Um Top 3 teams. Check these every week now just because it's become tradition. According to this, it's Brian, Tony, and somehow fucking me coming off a loss. And you're about to see how I lost. Didn't have a bad performance. I think I'm like 4th or 5th on the week in terms of scoring. But it's not enough when you play maybe the best guy in the league. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Brian is the best team in the league, and we'll see that right now. Starting the recap off with Brian and I. Brian doesn't have Eckler RB1, and he does just fucking fine. He scores 135 to 122. I lose by 13.3. Um, yeah. AJ Brown had 3 touchdowns on Sunday. It did come down to Monday. I did have like a 28-point lead or something with Tyler Boyd while he had Burrow, Chubb, and Amari Cooper. And Burrow had an okay game, but Chubb and Coop are the ones that put me out. Um, they're just nasty. My team by no means has a bad performance. Tyreek Hill has 3 performances where he gets 20 plus points of pure work. He only has 2 touchdowns on the year, and they're both in week 2 against Baltimore. So this guy being wide receiver 2 on just work mostly has been everything I wanted him to be. It's really not a bad week by me. I really do beat myself up because I was starting Donta Foreman all week until Benjamin got the clear with James Conner being out. So that's a mistake on me. I deserve this loss. I do feel like I beat myself. But I mean, like you look at Brian's team, bro, and like he even had points left on the bench, so you don't really want to think of that bad either. So overall, it's just a tough loss for me, man. Scoring 122 and losing, and then you see Vinny over here in a week where the average is 108.5. Vinny scores 90 and wins. He plays Phil. Phil can't get anything right. I feel bad with my trade with Phil, James Robinson, and Michael Thomas. Not really involved in scoring on his team. Jonathan Taylor's got to be the biggest bust on the year. He trades for Tua, has a good performance, but it's kind of it. Finney carried by his wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Godwin, all get double digits points. Lamar actually has a good game. But other than that, honestly, Vinny scrapes away with this win. One of the lower scoring teams in the week, and he still wins. Um, I'm looking at Josh here, and Josh has a great week. Josh, who was struggling to score early on in the season, goes to fuck off. Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, 30 plus games. That's crazy. Tom Brady finally has a good game, even though they lose. The Bucks have been a weird circus of players this year. Tony doesn't have a bad week by any means. Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook do their thing. DK and Tyler Lockett have a good game. He doesn't start a flex, but I'm not really as mad as that because I'm mad at that because none of his bench would have made a huge difference there. Yeah, if you start Brissett, you get 3 more points, but you're not going to start Brissett over a healthy Josh Allen. So it's a good win for Josh. Josh is not out of this. If you end the year with 7 losses, you still might be able to make the playoffs. So like, people like me and Josh are not out of it. At 3-5, still plenty of time to fight here. What are we? We're 8 weeks into a 14 week season. We'll see how this goes, man. We'll see how we close out the last 6. Next we have Austin versus Mateo. Mateo gets the win here. Austin on a bit of a skid. I remember him having a bit of a hot start. He gets DeAndre Swift back, but it's mostly the duds from Carr and Sutton that put the nail in the coffin here. Um, I mean, Mateo has a huge week. Waddle, the newly acquired Hurts, great Eagles defense start against the Steelers. Yeah, honestly, a pretty good win from Mateo here. We'll see how Austin responds to this. He's got me next week, so. But Mateo gets a really vital win, gets him back to 500. We'll see how that affects him going forward. Finn gets a win over Devin over here now. With the Jamar Chase injury, Devin is skidding. Um, Devin had the win on his bench. Oh yeah, with Jamal Williams, maybe? No, he wouldn't have won with just that swap. But I mean, both wide receivers getting a combined .7. Yeah, he could have won this game if he has the wide receiver start here. Damn. Damn. So yeah, Devin really did have this, and he blew it on starts. But nonetheless, good win for Finn. Finn finally gets Dak back. Been winning without Dak, and Dak has a great fucking game. Cooper Cup might miss some time, so Finn might be a little hit here, but still, like, quite a good game from Finn. Like 92.6 is kind of a low score, but I mean, I'm not hating any of these scores. Drake London, you might want to not start again, but like everyone else is not doing like too bad. The defense and kicker are just kind of toss up sometimes. I swear to God. Last and final matchup. Mark gets a win over here. Etienne in this lone start or first start without James Robinson, and it seems to be a workhorse. DeAndre Hopkins has quite the game too, and McCaffrey blows up in his second game with the 49ers. Big week from Mark, especially after I called him out for actually not scoring that well. So it was a big response, especially because Greg did put up a fight himself. Cousins without Mahomes, Cousins has a great start still. Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, good week. DJ Moore blow up. Waller got called out late, so I guess Greg didn't get that sub in. Maybe that's a difference, but he had Dawson Knox, so it wouldn't even like fully change anything. It's a good win for Mark. Bit unfortunate for Greg, but I know what it's like to have 120 plus and lose. So honestly, three people had 120 plus and lost this week. So honestly, interesting, really interesting. This is how the standings are affected by all that. Um, we have we have Mark, Finn, and Tony tied for the leads, but we're going to give Tony the tiebreakers on matchups there. Brian is running away with the West with Greg, Austin, and Tevin losing. A lot of that division is just chilling at 500, while Brian seems to be running away with everything. Let's go preview next week. So next week is Austin and I. Austin skidding kind of needs to get a win here. I need to get a win here as going to 3-6 might seal my fate. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's see how the rivalry has been in history with us. 5-4 overall. We haven't met in the playoffs or anything all regular season. I didn't win the last one, so we were drawing until then, and they seem to be high scoring games. Let's see if any of the context matters. Um, do any of us have any important people on bye? I have Saquon and Judy and Donovan Peoples Jones. I might start that guy, so that's pretty big. His buys are looking like Cortland Sutton and Jimmy Garoppolo. Not really big buys there, but I have some pretty big ones here. Let's see if Austin can take advantage of that. I have the one game regular season lead on him. Let's see if he could tie that up. Next, we have Tony versus Vinny. Projections seem to be favoring Tony, but I don't know if people have their lineups in. I don't think anyone ever usually does. Um, Vinny has the overall lead, but Tony has a playoff win on Vinny. That's crazy. Did Vinny Tony won the last one too? Hmm. Interesting. So the matchup might go to Tony here. Um, based on context of the season, because I don't know if Vinny's gonna look that strong this week. He also has a good amount of buys, yeah. But we'll see though. Anything could happen. Next one is Mateo and Josh. Do they have full lineups in? They do. They do. It seems to be a pretty even matchup. Let's see what the history has to say about this matchup. Seems to be Mateo dominated. Mateo won seems to be the first five. Josh won two in a row, and Mateo won last year. So Mateo with the last laugh, overall dominance, but Josh seemed to get a little bit of a groove last week. He had 2 wins against Mateo in the previous 2 matchups before the last one, in the 2 before the last one, I meant to say. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. People are both fighting for pretty big spots here. Um, Brian takes his talents over to Finn to see if he could get a win here. He has some pretty big buys with the Browns on bye. Yeah, look, Curtis Samuel and Gabe Davis. So this might be actually pretty good, but he does get Eckler back. Oh, Finn's missing a running back, and I know that bench has only Jerk McKinnon. So yeah, I'd say context gives it to Brian here. Let's see how the rivalry's been overall. It leans Brian. Even though Finn won the last matchup, Finn's won the last 2 of 3. Um, I don't know if I'm betting against Brian at all this year. This guy might win it all, and I'm just being honest. That guy is. I just. It's gonna need a catastrophic fall off for this guy to lose. Um, what is Mike doing? All right, well now we have the Mark and Devin matchup. And this guy likes to brown nose his friends until he plays them. Mark coming off of a win to get him to 5-3. He's actually on I think a winning streak. We'll check on that. Devin kind of skidding with Chase out. Um, let's see how the rivalry has looked in previous years. 6-5. Wow. Devin won the last one, but actually, this rivalry has been back and forth. It seems with 6-5, both over 100 average too. So they're kind of higher scorings. Devin won the last one. It's gonna be a tough one. Given context, I think I'm picking Mark here because Devin's team is looking a little rough, but who knows? Who knows? Anything could happen. Um, and Phil versus Greg. Can Phil get a win here? If we're using this season's context, I say no. I hate to say that. Phil cannot catch a break. The matchup is actually leaning Phil's way by quite the difference in average. Even though it says Greg's won the last 2. Maybe we'll find out what happens. All right, so that's how everything's ending. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next week for the next one. Hopefully I get a fucking win. Peace, boys.